Okay, we are going to be doing some hand sewing. Some of you have done this before, some of you already know how to do it. That's great, but let's review either way. Sewing is a useful and fun skill. We have been studying the artist Bisa Butler, who uses quilts as her art medium. Bisa Butler refers to the proud tradition of quilt making when she talks about her slave ancestors and the influence on her own art. So that is how this fits into this unit, okay? So what I have right now, the skills you're gonna learn. Students can use a pattern and cut out fabric, thread a needle, make a knot, and nose 2 stitches. Materials, paper pattern piece, 2 pieces of similar fabric, thread, needle, piece of tape for name, and period symbols. Guys, you can use 2 different pieces of fabric once you get better at this. Like maybe you want printed on one side and then, just unprinted on the other. What you can't do easily is use 2 different types of fabric. So for example, I can't use flannel and then like something stretchy, okay? You want them to be like the same kind of stretchiness. Now, let's see. You must do these skills on your own. You cannot come to me and say, can you thread this needle? Can you tie this knot? And most importantly, and I'm going to talk more about this later, when you get towards the end of a length of thread, because you need to get more thread, you cannot come to me with 1/2 centimeter of thread and say, can you tie this knot? You must do all these things on your own. Okay. Pillow will be cut out neatly, stitches are not too far apart, stuffing is not sticking out, knots secure the stitches. Bonus, you have some, okay, that's for later. We might add stuff later. Okay, here we go. So I have here, you're gonna have, a few options as far as your piece goes. Here we go. I've got my piece of tape, I've taped it on there. I'm going to put on here my name, my symbol, my table letter, okay? When you get your fabric, it might be 2 pieces like this, or sometimes it might be 2 pieces but it's 1 piece, but it's folded, okay? Now, if you were at home and you're like pro stitching, learning all the best skills, you might use a straight pin to, I'm gonna go zoom in, to secure this. So I go in and then I bring it up. That's not really too necessary with this. These scissors are for fabric only. All right. So now, if this had a print on it, let's say there was candy canes or whatever, I'd be wanting that to face out. I'm going to take my scissors. Where am I? Here we go. And I'm going to cut this out. I am good at cutting. That's why mine is going a little faster. Okay, cool. Now, I made a little bit of a mistake in that we're gonna wanna have our piece of tape to label our pieces here in a minute. Okay, I'm gonna take off my pattern piece. I'm going to reattach this to the magnet. I'm gonna save my scraps because later I might use them for stuffing. What do you think? Can I get this off? Okay, perfect. Now my project is labeled. Okay, great. My next skill is to thread a needle. So I have my needle here. There's the eye of the needle, there's the point of the needle, there's the shaft of the needle. This might seem self-explanatory, but the thread needs to go through the eye of the needle. I have here a spool of thread. Sometimes the spool of thread will have like a little place where the thread is kept. So I look for the loose end, and I'm going to do 1 arm's length of thread. And then I cut that. I'm not doing more than an arm's length of thread because it will get too tangly. Okay, now I'm going to take the end of my thread and I'm going to put it through the hole. Then, once it's through the hole, I pull it through, and I want the tails to be the same length. Okay? There's a lot of ways to tie a knot. It doesn't really matter how you do it, just as long as it gets done. So I'm just gonna do a very simple granny knot. I make a loop, I put it through, so it's looking like that, and I pull my knot tight. I have a knot. Now, my needle won't fall off because it's like in this loop, okay? Now, I know I'm going fast. It's okay if you mess up. We're just learning through experience. The first stitch, my preferred stitch for this is the whip stitch. That said, kids are cuckoo for a running stitch. You can do a running stitch. It's the easier of the two, say some people, but they better be small stitches, okay? Because it's not a race. I am going to start either from the back or from the inside. The reason I would start from the inside between my 2 pieces is because I don't want to see the knot. So back to front, pull it all the way through. You must always pull it all the way through. Now, my next stitch, I'm going to go through the back, near the edge, make sure I get both pieces all the way through. And I'm just going to keep doing this. I'll get better at it as I go. These are even a little far apart. You know, you want your pieces to be lining up, so you go through both of them. Back to front. Now this is gonna be like a little pillow, okay guys? That's why there's 2 pieces, because we're gonna stuff it later. See, now I'm starting to get my rhythm. Sometimes you gotta pull the stitch over. There we go. I'm pulling tight, but I'm not pulling so tight that I make it buckle. Okay, whoops. Now, I have plenty left, but I want, when it's time to make a knot, you want to have about like a palm's length amount left. And the way I'm going to make a knot, guys, is I'm going to make a stitch. And the reason you would do that is because you're starting to run out of thread and you need to get more. I'm going to make a stitch, and then I'm going to go through it once. I'm going to go through it twice. I'm going to pull it tight. Whoops. Okay, there it goes. And then I can cut it off. Okay, then I would repeat that process. And then we'll continue this all the way around, and then we're gonna leave a little opening because we have to stuff stuff in later. But this would be like a really good start if you got this far today. The way I store my needle, you do not get another needle, so don't lose it. I go like this. I make like a stitch that I don't, you know, like I act like I'm gonna make a stitch, but I don't. Then I have my bin. I'm gonna put it in my bin, and then I'm gonna put my bin in the closet. The instructional materials stay on the table, as do the magnets, the spools of thread, the instructions. All right.